저 아래 물가에 거기 미나리 심으면 잘 자라겠던데.
생각해볼게요.
Minari is a vegetable that you find a lot in Asia. My grandmother brought over Minari seeds from Korea, and we planted those seeds in this little creek bed in Arkansas.
이게 미나리가 얼마나 좋은 건데. 미나리는 이렇게 잡초처럼 아무 데서나 막 자라니까.
Of all the things that were so hard to grow on our farm growing up, strangely, the Minari is what took root and just grew and flourished. I spent a lot of days with my grandmother when I was a child going to the Minari patch, in which she would cut the Minari and gather it, and I would just sit to the side and sing songs for her.
Minari, wonderful, wonderful.
For me, it obviously works as a metaphor. Having a plant that is completely different from everything I'm finding in the world around me. It's almost like it's something that's operating on a different level. It's not part of this world in a way. That was kind of the idea that I had for it.
It was the first time I read something where I was just like, this is one of the most honest kind of depictions of a Korean-American family story. And in speaking to Stephen about it, it's kind of when I realized, let's make this.
I read the script and I was blown away by how unwaveringly honest it was to its own perspective.
여기 대체 어디야?
우리 집이지? 그러지 말고 들어와봐. 야.
우리가 약속했던 건 이게 아니잖아.
It was just a story about this family. And I thought that was so brave, intelligent, and refreshing.
My family moved to Arkansas in the 1980s. My dad had a dream to try to start a new type of life. So much of that time in my life was very formative. And as I wanted to start making movies, obviously those experiences I had as a child were things that I wanted to explore. I didn't know I would do it so literally. So I decided I'm just gonna write down a bunch of memories and see where we go.
하나, 둘, 치즈.
Stephen came on board as an executive producer on the project, and I knew that we were really on the same page from the beginning. And by the time that production came, I mean, he had really transformed into Jacob.
여기선 당신도 일할 수 있고 난 가드를 만들 수 있잖아.
로저스 가드 5에이커는 살 수 있잖아.
아, 취미로 하는 거면 5에이커로 충분하겠지. 내 꿈은 50에이커야.
저 땅이 당신 꿈이라고?
I think the challenges were realizing that I am Jacob to an extent. I realized as I was getting closer and closer to it, I was really battling for myself who I am and who I think my parents' generation was and is, and having to reach back into my own past in order to recontextualize how I might have seen them, and then subsequently looking into my current reality of being a parent myself and trying to connect those pieces together. The journey to access and do all that was intense.
페니스 브로큰. 페니스 브로큰.
엄마?
It's not called a penis. It's called a ding-dong.
딩동.
YJ is just an incredible actress. From the start, like her first film, she ripped up the playbook of what it means to be an actor in Korea with her very first role. She's a singular force in Korea.
Yoon Ya-jung is incredible. It almost feels fraudulent to be like, she's great, she's amazing. It feels not exactly the right word.
YJ knows exactly what the camera angle means for her body and her character, and the way that she performs that scene, knowing that we're behind her, and her body language. I think people can really study that and learn a lot. I learned a lot from watching her do that. And working with her was so fun. Her and David, especially watching them together and watching them gel and play and riff during scenes. That was some of the most exciting stuff for me as a director to watch. I knew that that is what we needed for Sunja. We need somebody who is not fitting within any categories, like what it means to be a grandmother, what it means to be Korean, what it means to be an immigrant.
Everybody has a grandma. Grandma means it's like a home. Usually when you get parents, you try them make behavior all right, correct them and scold them, but grandparents, it's just they was just giving them love. That's never scold or never ask them to do this and that.
가서 해초리 가져와.
애를 왜 때려?
해초리 갖고 와.
아니 저렇게 이쁜 새끼한테 무슨 회초리야? 애니까 그렇지. I became a grandma actually, so well, this is the part suit my age.
It was like, wow, I get to work with a Korean celebrity. She just gave great improvisement and advice and lots of other things. She seemed like such a great actor. Probably my favorite scene was when I pour all the medicine out and then pee in the cup and then give it to the grandma.
Good boy, good boy, good boy.
And then run away because she might punish him. That was pretty funny.
There's something about him that's so magnetic that we all want to watch him. I love Alan. Even when I just hear his name, I smile. Alan was the youngest person to send us an audition. Every time I watched his audition tape, I saw David, and I saw, this is David.
Just sort of started rolling. About a March and March, it rolled over 5 times. Coming to rest on its
My favorite. My favorite.
A friend of mine who had read this script, she introduced me to Yeti as someone who she thought was perfect for Monica. And I met with Yeti in Korea and immediately felt like she's just right for this film.
Getting to go toe-to-toe and together create these scenes with her felt effortless.
우리가 함께 있는 게 더 중요한 거 아니야?
난 다 잃는 한이 있어도 여기서 내가 시작한 걸 끝내야겠어.
모니카는 사실 겁도 굉장히 많고 그리고 뭔가 사랑하는 남자를 위해서 미국까지 오긴 했지만 아마 막 모든 게 서툴고 굉장히 좀 많이 외로운 여성인 것 같다라는 생각이 들었고 그리고 가족과 이제 드디어 여기 오면서 그게 터지게 되죠. 그래서 제이콥이랑 엄청 많은 싸움을 하게 되고
그래 그렇게 먼저 다 어디로 갔는데?
난 장남으로서 가족을 돌본 것뿐이야. 다 이제 괜찮아. 다들 잘 살잖아.
잘 살긴 뭐가 잘 살아? 우리 엄마 우리 대체 누굴 얘기하는 건데?
됐어!
Noelle, we found through Julia Kim, our casting director, and Noelle was effortless at times in being able to access some kind of emotion, even though she's not technically trained. So she was great, so truthful and honest.
The fact that a story like this resonates with so many people out there just says that we are all very common in our dreams and struggles, no matter what our color or ethnicity is. And to have a film where most of the cast is Korean or Korean American has been just a wonderful journey.
One of the most important things for us during this creative process was to have this very authentic sort of feeling to the film. We wanted to make sure we surrounded Isaac with a team that was going to be able to do that.
I think as a designer, my job was to make this film believable, following the Korean immigrant family journey who came to US from Korea and to California to Arkansas. That's the only thing Isaac wants for production design.
When I first walked onto the dressed set, it was like, whoa, I have the same bucket from when I was a kid.
It's hard to figure out at this point which items were from my life and which items are from the mind of Young-ok Lee. Young went to a lot of pawn shops and Goodwill stores, and luckily a lot of those places still have those things from the 1980s in them. We start to see a shot of Monica putting calendar paper into the dresser. She's lining the drawers with calendar paper, and Young-ok Lee said to me, "From the Korean grocer." And I said, there you go. Anytime we moved anywhere new, my mom would always line the cabinet with calendar paper, and it was always a specific calendar paper. It comes from the Korean grocer.
Cinematography is an area of filmmaking that I find super important, and I wanted to make sure that we paired him with somebody who is really going to be able to bring his vision to life. I don't think the film would feel as emotional as it does if it wasn't for Lachlan. He had a deep understanding of the material, and once he and Isaac met, Isaac called me afterwards and he's like, he totally gets it.
He's talented. He's incredibly just a genius to me.
벌써 일어났어?
응. 엄마, 누나가 우리 이사 가야 된대요. 정말이에요?
데이빗, 네가 결혼하면 가족들이랑 이런 집에 살겠니?
A lot of the film takes place in a small trailer home. And I think one of the concerns was, how do we make this not feel so claustrophobic? Lachlan and his team did a fantastic job drawing out the intimacy of family without making the space feel so tight.
Isaac told me his father basically sold everything to move to Arkansas, and so they just didn't have a lot. But he also gave me the creative freedom to have my own input and my own little spin about it based on the fact that it is the 80s. I guess by culture and what he had told me and his experiences just naturally came together.
저기 또 있다. 아우, 뚱뚱해. 어우, 진짜 너무 뚱뚱하다. 그만해요. 빨리 봐봐.
Susanna was somebody that we met early on in the process, and she kind of had this vision of what it would have been like in the Midwest for a Korean immigrant family. What would they have been able to afford to buy? David's character wears a yellow shirt, and that's kind of a funny idea if it was a hand-me-down from his older sister. But he's so young that he doesn't care, and he kind of wears it.
그럼 물이 많은 데가 어디야?
There.
Why?
Because trees like water.
똘똘한 새끼가.
It was just a great experience working with such a nice director. He always was nice to me.
Isaac is super collaborative and just very thoughtful and a very open human being, which made the process very wonderful.
I think Isaac's able to access purity. For someone who's lived into adulthood and has his own children, to be able to access purity like that and channel something such as a script like this and shape it into this thing that was so deeply truthful, in my opinion, from his perspective, I think that's a very difficult thing. He's incredibly special that way. I think he has such an exacting eye.
내가 너무 지쳤어.
People think, because we don't understand their culture or the language, people think we are all different, but we are all same. White or black, or we all same. We are all human beings. That's what I want the audience to know.
I think that was the core of what I was hoping to do with this, was to look for the human and to find connections in that way, and trying to figure out what is it that makes us human beings.